Welcome to the Impact Learning Visionaries podcast, where we celebrate the unsung heroes of the learning and development industry. As always, we'll be bringing some laughter and a bit of fun along the way, but more importantly, you'll get some incredible insights, key lessons, and unique perspectives on everything related and possibly unrelated to training and development. Let's get this show on the road. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Impact Learning Visionaries podcast. I'm joined today by Mustafa Dardery. Mustafa has over 16 years of experience in the field of leadership and skills development, and he's held the title of Head of Learning and Development at various organizations and is currently leading a team at New Media Academy, where he's responsible for developing and delivering new short courses, workshops, and masterclasses for both individuals, corporate, and government institutions. He's passionate about leveraging technology to help individuals and teams reach their true potential. Mustafa, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Jason. Thank you so much for having this talking to you. Thank you.
Let's jump in. I think there's two things I think that the viewers would be very curious about. One is just obviously finding out about your own story, but at a later, I'd like to just understand, the kind of uniqueness of what learning and development looks like in the UAE as well, and if there are kind of cultural differences and norms that change the landscape. But let's start a little bit with your story. So tell us a little bit about your background and where you've come from.
Yes, sure, of course. I'm graduated from Faculty for Sports from Alexandria University in Egypt, and my passion started in the sports. I was a tennis player at that time, and then I was asking myself all the time, what next? What should I look into my career in the sports field if I'm not that professional? So what should I do? So it came to my mind to look after different aspects and try myself in different opportunities or jobs to see where exactly I can fit more. So I remember that I found the American University in Cairo having the opening education center for the people to come and study different diplomas in professional field. And I found the salesmanship and marketing diploma, where I started with, it was like 12 course, 6 in marketing and 6 in sales. So I finished this diploma and I started to approach the market with different visions. But at this time, I realized the differentiation between what can you study in the faculty of a university, and there's a big gap in the market, you see. So it came to my mind, I said, okay, once I've reached to a certain level in my career, I need to give my experience to the people. It's not only one component of knowledge, it's a different component, which you need the skills, you need to know how to deal in different situations, and of course, with the knowledge that you can structure these skills and knowledge together. So actually, this is where I started, because all the people asking me, okay, Mustafa, you're coming from Faculty for Sports, and then now you're working in sales for many years, and now you're working in learning and development. So how it comes together? This is actually how it comes. This is the story behind.
So it's actually interesting, because I think one of the big challenges in the learning and development world is how you train salespeople. And having been a salesperson to actually training salespeople, there's probably a few little tips and techniques that you've learned along the way there. Anything specific that you felt has been quite impactful in helping to kind of take those sales skills that you've learned into training sales professionals?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for those questions. It was one of the things that made me think about how can I transfer this experience? How can I train people in the training room? How to face this kind of challenges? Because at the end, they are not following the steps in a systematic way. It's already one situation where they need to explore many things and close the sales deal at the end. So I remember the first time I had my sales training academy, retail sales training academy in Egypt, where I was doing 100% practical courses, workshops for the people to come. And I was trying to make some mock-ups in the training room as a virtual store for them, so I can give them the feeling that we are in the store right now. How should we act? So in the beginning, I was giving them, this is what we need to do, and this is how actually should be, and let's see how we react. So I have two role plays with the audience to see the difference from the first role play and the second role play, and also for the owner or for the investor seeing the outcome of the training. This is the most important thing for me, because all the people started not to believe that much in the training outcome, because at the end they are saying, look, it's not theoretical, it's not working like this. In the real life it's different, while training is very very essential to have different outcome. And also I can remember that the investors were asking me, okay, what if we train the people and people will leave us? And usually I was replying, what if you didn't train the people and they will stay in your company? It will be the same thing. So I would focus more on the practical things so they can understand the sales process from the beginning until the closing. And also I can train them on different objections, how to handle these objections, and also the different type of customers, because at the end it's all about human relationship. It's not about a certain technique you need to follow, then they will sell. No, everybody is different. The cultures make difference, and you need to be connected to each aspect of the process. Then you can close the deal very easily.
Yeah, I think it's more and more as I'm growing old, the more I'm really realizing everything is about relationships and the human experience. Um, you said something quite interesting, and sorry to kind of pick on this because I think it's actually an interesting statement you made. Is and I wonder how often it gets repeated. Is this belief that why train someone if they're just going to leave? And I guess that's probably very prevalent in the sales field because yeah, I think there's a kind of a very poorly kept secret in the sales world that sales development representatives generally don't stick around for very long. Um, it seems like such a bizarre thing to say. I mean, how how often do you find that you get that kind of response from business leaders?
Actually, I always telling them, treat your salespeople as a football players. So this is the good example. So, and once you have the good football players, you need to segment your sales team. So you need to pay more attention for the people who bring more money for you, and try to understand the capability of each one of the team. Then you can give the right training, and then you can get out the best outcome from those people. But if you treat the salespeople all on the same level without, like, most of them they don't pay like compensation or commission scheme or rewarding or motivate those people to sell more. So I always telling them, business it's accumulated process, and the most important part is the end. And I would giving them the example of having the mobile device, and you have the charger, and you put the charger in the mobile, but you forgot to just do the last click so you can make sure it's connected now. This is actually about the sales training. You need to make sure what you're giving to the people will have the impact, and you need to watch them and to make them feel they are the leader. Whether to stay or to leave you, there is different aspects. The people who will, especially the salespeople, once they feel that they are getting the reward from this place and they can reach and achieve more in this place, they will never leave you. So we need to understand what's behind the turnover of the salespeople. Then we can fix it.
Yeah, good point. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I think right now you're doing some interesting stuff around kind of interestingly about around this kind of concept of impact learning and understanding almost the gap between the traditional tertiary education system and the business world. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Yeah, actually, I was when I came from Egypt, I came to SAE Institute in Dubai. I was the head of short courses and corporate training at this time, and it was quite interesting for me to design this kind of short courses for filmmaking and graphic design, game development, and sell it to the corporate. It was not something easy, to be honest. It was quite challenging, but again, it gave me a lot of experience and a lot of connections. And then after this, I found the opportunity in New Media Academy, which is semi-government, has been opened by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, to to get all the content creators from the Middle East and teach them how to speak in front of the camera, how to build the content, how to have valuable content in the social media, especially in this era of social media trends and content creation. And then I found another opportunity now with the Canadian University, Dubai, where I can develop much more courses in the field of digital learning, social media, content creation, AI. So now what I'm doing, I'm trying to see or to check where's the demand in the market, what's the top 10 demanded jobs for the next 5 to 10 years in the market, and how can I develop some short courses for the individuals to know about these new things, because academically they need to have the full information, the full knowledge about everything. Then they need to put it in the structure to have the learning outcome in a certain way. But having short courses and master classes and workshops in a practical way that can give the hits and the techniques and the practical experience to the people how to deal in the market, that they will give them the edge and qualify them for the marketplace much more quicker. And this is exactly where I found the vision of Canadian University Dubai to hire me working as a head of executive and corporate training.
So as I understand it, the kind of gap you're trying to fill is that gap between when someone finishes a degree and when someone starts working, that the belief is that they lack really the pragmatic, practical skills that they need for the job.
Exactly.
It's a strange thing because
Yeah.
I mean, most of what I've heard is generally that when people leave university, it's more the soft skills that the university has ignored. It's interesting that it's the first time I'm hearing it's actually the practical skills as well that the university is not necessarily kind of keeping up with. It really does kind of start to beg the question: what is the university actually teaching students? Uh,
Actually, look, because I always have this conversation with the academic departments. We have this, spicy conversation between us, uh, because they are saying we are teaching them, of course, some practical experience. We give them some tips, but again, the main focus in the academic to give them the knowledge, comprehensive knowledge about each subject, because they are keen to give them the enough knowledge for them about each subject that can qualify them to work in the marketplace. But the timing of the academic years in any university is not enough sometimes to give them both knowledge and the skills, or let's say experience and knowledge together. There's where you can find many universities around the globe already having this opening education or professional training department to comply, or let's say to integrate with the academic department, giving them exactly what they need in the practical field. But of course, I cannot deny that there is practical subject with the academic department. But again, we are trying just to integrate between the market, what is needed in the market, and what they have already.
and out of curiosity, how are you identifying those needs?
Yeah, as I'm telling you, I'm checking already what's the demand in the market. For example, now you will find the marketing department will going to be completely changed. There's too many new positions in the marketing field, like content creation manager, brand manager, platform manager. Uh, you will find new titles in the corporate field now asking for different jobs. So this is where I'm trying to put my eye, or trying to focus more with the recruitment companies, with LinkedIn, to see what's demanded now for the next 10 years in the Middle East, in Europe, so we can understand exactly what is needed in the marketplace, and then who's the expert in this field or in this subjects, where we can bring them to give us like bit of experience, or how we can deal with these new things. Like, for example, people still not have clear vision about what's AI. Is it about ChatGPT? Is it about machine learning? They don't know. And even if they know, they don't know exactly how to use it in their life or in their job. So there is where we try to find the start, or we're trying to find the potential courses to build the curriculum for.
And for the students, how does this kind of work out? Because I'm assuming that they probably already have a very busy schedule, just finishing their degree. Um, I almost don't remember mine anymore, but I can kind of reference my daughter's who's just been through her degree. And I imagine if I went to her and said, "Hey, there's all these really great short courses that you can do," I would have probably got a very um, stern look saying, "Are you insane? I'm like so busy at the moment. I don't have time for that."
Yeah,
So, how do you deal with
yeah.
that?
Actually, you're completely right. That's why when I started to design the short courses in Canadian University, I always say we have 4 sessions in a 1 month, and I'm telling this to the instructor, or maximum 2 sessions. Each session is 2 hours. So trying to also to focus more in the engaging, to be more fun in the training itself, not the same thing in the academic field or sitting and listening. No, it's more engaging. So once they attend something like this, it will be completely different experience having this short courses, or attending these classes for only 2 hours per week, or maximum 3 4 hours per week. So we're trying to take in consideration their timing and the capacity already they have. So I put these courses from 5 to 7, maybe sometimes from 4 to 6, based on their schedule. And it's short, quiet, and very beneficial for the students.
Okay, so you've talked about the university and it's identified these gaps. You've talked about going into the industry and looking at recruiters and LinkedIn and seeing what the most common types of roles are that are being requested. But obviously, the missing element we haven't talked about is the companies themselves who are recruiting and hiring. How are they getting, are you working with them? Are they involved in the process? How are they part of this equation?
Yeah, actually, this is where the corporate training comes. The corporate training, I'm trying to focus to train the professionals in the government and the private sector. And also, I'm checking with the recruitment companies what they need, if they need internship, or what they are looking for the students to hire or to get some CVs from us. So here I'm not working alone. I'm working with other departments where they are handling the internship, and also the students or alumni, let's say, affairs, or with the corporate. So I'm trying to build some courses for the corporate field, and checking from the corporate. Once I'm giving them some training, I'm asking them what exactly you need to hire. What do you need? If you need to hire someone without the experience or fresh graduate, what do you need exactly from them to have in their CV? The CV. So once you find it in the CV, you will decide to hire them directly. Because again, they're starting fresh. They don't have enough experience. So we can give them some experience with these short courses to qualify them for the marketplace. So I'm getting this experience or knowledge or feedback from the corporate training as well, and from my colleagues in the other department who's handling the internship for the students.
And we you're obviously observing this problem within the space that you're working in, which is it seems to be Dubai. Do you think this is something that's very specific to Dubai because it's such a fast growing economy? It's come from almost nothing over the last 10, 20 years to being this kind of dominant, I suppose, city or kind of country that's really kind of starting to dominate a lot of technical, like technology conversations, and other conversations as well. And obviously, people are like there's an influx of people, and it's like a melting pot of different kind of cultures and things. But do you see this being very much a UAE or Dubai specific kind of challenge, or do you see this actually being something that's a problem globally as well?
To be honest, I just came from the Middle East, so I cannot judge, but I can feel already because when I'm doing the market survey, I found many universities in USA doing the same thing. Some universities in Europe doing the same thing. Also in India, they're trying to do the same thing. So it looks global for me. But having the experience in Dubai, it's a very competitive market now where everybody coming from different places to get a job here. So once you apply for the job, you will find many people with different skills, with better skills coming from different nationalities, different countries, applying for the same job. So you need to understand exactly how can, if you are a student here in UAE in Dubai, you need to understand what do you need to have as an advantage to apply for these jobs. So here it's quite more competitive rather than other places because it's very fast growing here in Dubai and in UAE in general. Um, but I believe it could be the same thing in other markets globally.
And the competitiveness you speak to in Dubai, out of curiosity, is it a competitiveness more on the employer side who's desperately trying to find like good candidates, or is it on the candidate side where there's a scarcity of good jobs and there's that competitiveness of trying to differentiate yourself?
Actually, it's about the candidate how to differentiate himself for the demand in the market because you can see that the old fashion of putting the CV with the job description when not working properly well now. You need to look into the skills or what can you bring to the company. You need to choose the right keywords in your CV. You need to put the email body itself has to be very attractive, straight to the point, because you need to focus on how to get the appointment with the interviewer first to speak about yourself and how can you bring value to the company. But just having the typical CV applied to different places and you don't receive any feedback or because it's very big now and you need to differentiate or to look into different ways to differentiate your approach to the employers so you can get the response let's say quicker and um, and better response from the marketplace.
And I guess coming back to the universities, because I'm just thinking in terms of the where we find ourselves in the world today with this kind of technologies like AI coming and starting to put some strain on businesses, asking some very tough questions of businesses. We're starting to see this emerging trend of this the words like adaptability and creativity and this belief that the real superpower of the future is not your ability to learn but your ability to unlearn and relearn. So it's that kind of adaptiveness. What you're kind of describing almost seems to be a awareness from universities that they're almost too slow to respond to this kind of demand, and they're finding kind of almost ways of being able to address that disruption in the industry through these kind of shorter courses that bolt on to probably the more monolithic existing degrees that they've been offering for the last 10, 20, 50 years. Do you ever see it kind of coming back where the universities are realizing that we've actually just got to move faster? Otherwise, we're going to start to become dinosaurs and become irrelevant in this conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe this is also came to me, and I was to to put something like a learning journey in the short courses. It's not one course and just that's it. No, because normally when you give the short courses to the students after like long academic year, they are asking, okay, what next? What should I do now? Is this course enough for me to apply in the marketplace, or should I do something else? They don't know. They need to see the structure of this short courses. So that's why we created a learning journey to have professional certificate in different fields. For example, if you want to be professional content creators, you need to come to the university or come to the corporate or executive training in the university, taking this kind of courses. Then you will be professional. This is, I can guarantee for you that you will be aware about all the aspects, for example, for the content creation itself. So to To give them all of this, you need to educate them about what's the professionalism level in each job or in each career, so you can give them like career advice or career guidelines. How can you reach and where you will start in the market, and this is actually the normal career endeavor for you, or the future of your career will be in these titles if you go through these things. And how can you be relevant, because the learning, it cannot be one time and that's it. I'm still taking some courses now, like I'm studying with Harvard Business School, trying to upgrade also for me the leadership skills, to understand how it works globally and how can I increase or enrich my experience in the leadership for the students and learning field. So learning, it's ongoing process. It is not one process or one two short courses and then you stop. Of course, once you stop, it will be completely irrelevant.
Yeah. There's a very big question kind of surfacing in my head, and I apologize because this might be too big a question, and do the best you can with this one. There's been a few conversations on this podcast about businesses themselves starting to understand that traditional learning is no longer sufficient, and we're starting to see the emergence of kind of terms like learning ecosystems, and where learning and development in organizations, businesses starting to realize that they actually need to be addressing the needs of the business, understanding how the almost the kind of needs of the individual and the needs of the business need to align, and how the learning journey becomes the scaffolding to make that process work efficiently. And part of that is there's this almost kind of subtle pushback against these kind of generic, all-encompassing courses, towards things that are more tailored and niched towards that individual in that business at that point in time and what is their needs. And I guess the question is, I'm starting to see there's like this subtle kind of bumping up between the more traditional kind of learning and development, which is very much where universities, learning companies, short courses, and all these things, where they're trying to be a catch-all to people who want to learn about a new body of knowledge. And on the other side, you have this growing awareness that learning needs to be tailored to that organization, its outcomes, and the specific individuals and how they go through that. So, I mean, how are you? I mean, are you starting to see this trend as well? And is it something that you're aware of? I'd love to know how you kind of
Yes,
see it.
sure. And yeah, and sure, of course, you're completely right. And this is actually where still the gap is too big to cover between two things, as you said. It's still, but we need to pay more attention for the outcome of this training, because their time at this time when they leave the university, or they feel that they already disattached from the market, so they need to take something extra to be prepared or qualified for the market. And once they take the one step forward to attend any courses, if they don't feel the outcome of these courses, they will feel that they are wasting their time. It's again something like we waste another time in knowledge, or taking some information that we cannot apply it in the market. So we need to pay more attention in this area, where we can put them and qualify them in a real way to the market, and link what they learned to a practical experience, because actually we cannot deny the value of learning in the academic field is still there, because the quality standard is still in the universities, the curriculum is still in the universities. You cannot just saying it's not efficient now because they don't cover the practical part. For me personally, I don't agree. We still need them. Yes, we need to upgrade. We need to develop. We need to be more modern. We need to follow the corporate field, because I feel this gap existed because of the gap between the academic environment and the corporate environment, and they need to love each other in the future to minimize this gap. So that's why the student pay the price between this gap to have something or to invest in himself by attending some short courses, getting some tips online, or getting to the AI to check what exactly they need to develop, and they are moving forward. But to be honest, what I found for the students, they are very, very fast learner. Like sometimes I'm saying this is 10 times faster than me when I was at their age. Now they're very, very fast learner, and the ability to absorb the information and to develop themselves is very, very quickly. And sometimes you can find those students became better than what you expect in a faster way. And still this gap has a big opportunity for the universities and for the training institutions to look into these things, not in a commercial way, in a valuable way, because you can see most of training institutions develop multiple of hundreds of courses and given to the professional field, to the companies, to the students, where they don't feel this designed or tailored for them. So that's why I again say, okay, I don't need any more information. Once I feel I need more information or more training in a specific area, then I will search for the courses that I need.
Right, there's a part of, there's a part of me that absolutely agrees with that. I think that there's definitely, I think, this need for foundational knowledge, and I absolutely believe there's a place for mainstream education. I think for me there's two elements that I still kind of struggle to wrap my head around. The one is that with so much information at our fingertips due to technology, the change has been, it's less about accumulating rote knowledge and more about having continuous access to that rote knowledge and then learning more how to synthesize that access to knowledge. In other words, that kind of that's critical thinking is I've got Google at my fingertips. All of the fake news and all that nonsense aside, assuming that for the sake of this conversation, I assumed it was all correct. I've got access to any information throughout history that I need. My challenge is then how to synthesize that into something that's meaningful, and that could be a role inside the organization. It could be a job that I want to do. It could be a hobby or interest. So I completely get that that's where universities sit. I guess my kind of where I'm still wondering is on the kind of postgraduate type of stuff. The guys who've been in an organization or company for 10 years or however long it's been, and they're coming for these kind of short courses. And the problem is that every single person comes with a completely different background. So it's so much easier when you're dealing with students because they've all come from school. They're probably a little bit arrogant. They've got this baseline of information. They know all of this stuff. But when you're dealing with people in that kind of executive education, then that kind of, it becomes very tricky because on the one hand, I've got people with varying degrees of different levels of experience and knowledge, and they're all going to be starting at very different levels, bringing very different broad perspectives and insights. On the second part, I've got the fact that every single one of those people are there for almost a different type of outcome within their organization. They're not all going to learn content management because they just want to be content managers. One might be going to learn content management because they desperately need to do better writing inside their organization. Another one might be coming to do content management because they are looking to see how they can elevate their brands. Another one might be coming because they have an opportunity to step into that role and they just want to find out what it's about. So every single one of them almost have a different success metric of what they want to get out of the degree, and for me that's the missed opportunity here. That's where when you're a kind of a course provider, your job is purely just about, have I taught you the curriculum? it's not necessarily about have I helped you successfully achieve that goal that you came in to this process with.
Yeah.
Are you seeing, the universities, the course providers starting to actually do that linkage of saying, I know why you're coming here, and let me kind of craft a journey for you that's going to help you achieve that thing you came here to do?
Yeah, actually, this is where the corporate training comes. Actually, this is normally when I'm dealing with any corporate entity that they want to train their staff or their employees. Uh, the first thing I do, it's what exactly you would like to have as a learning outcome of this training, so I can have this customized training programs for you. And this is the first thing came. I have something called skills gap analysis, where I can sit with the training provider and say, okay, you need to train these people to be better content managers, for example, as you said. And then say, okay, I need them, yes, to be a manager. So say, okay, in which way or what the most important skill you need to develop, or is it about their skills, is it about their knowledge, is it about their attitude in the workplace. So I'm having this pre-assessment conversation with the training managers in the first phase. Second phase, I need to set and know the level of each profession, not the background, because as you said, it's different backgrounds. But at the end, when you give corporate training, you need to give this corporate training for the goal of the purpose of the organization itself, and you need to lead those people within the training itself to the same goal, not to go through different questions and backgrounds, and because everyone will try to prove their method, which is will try to prove this is better than the others. Yeah. So within this pre-assessment or skills gap analysis I have, I can build with me or with the instructors customized material in a very short way for the corporate to have the learning outcome. And normally, once we finish, we discuss with the employer or with the corporate or with the government if they need on-job training. So we can offer also on-job training to make sure that they got the learning outcome that they need from this training. And sometimes we offer them free consultation for a month or 3 months as an added value for the training. The message here from us to say it is not only one training and go. No, we need to go with you in the development and learning journey that you have inside your organization, and make sure you are achieving your goals within this training. Because the let's say the stereotype or the negative impact that the corporate field got from universities or from the training institutions, that they pay too much money for the training and then they cannot measure the learning outcome from this training. So this is also, we need to look into this outcome and how we can shape it for the corporate field, and also how we can make it more valuable for them and tangible or measurable, to see the outcome from the employees and themselves in their marketplace.
Okay. So
I hope
I
I
think,
answer your
yeah.
questions. I hope I'm
Yeah,
not
I
far
think it. I
from.
think it does. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it was a very tricky question to answer. So it wasn't. I mean, I think it's. I ask these questions because often these are the very things that I struggle with myself, and hope that
yeah,
the people on this podcast will share their wisdom. And I guess if I'm struggling with this, then there are a whole lot of other people who are struggling with this as well. Um, so the two final questions. Second last question, I always ask our guests to share a little bit of like knowledge or wisdom, and just having gone through this conversation and seeing that, you're kind of, you're coming from the university side, you're coming from the corporate education side, but then looking at the person who is sitting inside that business or corporate in the learning and development role. My question to you is what would you like to see from these individuals to kind of start to almost meet you halfway in the kind of initiatives that you're creating?
um, which means you can clarify more. Just
Yeah, so I'm guessing and saying, in your engagements with
yeah,
people in learning and development in these
yeah,
organizations right now,
yeah.
are are they ready and equipped to go when you kind of come with your proposals or your ideas, or are there gaps when you come into kind of corporates and organizations that you're noticing, and if you are, what are those gaps, and what is your advice to people to kind of help fill them?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I understand now more. Normally, I'm doing my visits for a cup of coffee with the learning and development managers to check first how it works, how the performance, how's the people, and to check if they heard about the new topics that can enhance, for example, their performance or productivity in the marketplace. Having this conversation with the learning and development managers will give you the insight about what they need. If they are suffering a certain way, or if there's pain in this organization, I can sort out with my training proposal or customized training for them. Then I start to approach. I'm not going there with a corporate catalog. I have these courses and I need to give it to you. No, this is actually it's not my approach. And also, again, I'm looking for the value, not for the commercial side only. So once I go there and visit those corporate entities, whether it's government or a private sector, I'm trying to see where's the pain points that we can sort it out very quickly with the approach of the training or corporate training for these entities. And I'm always saying it's totally customized, totally practical, and intense, taking in consideration the timing for the employees and also their level of experience. And because it's not easy when you finish 8 hours a day working to have another 2 3 hours again to train yourself. We're trying to make it in between. يعني. Sometimes in the weekend, sometimes 2 3 days within the week, very intensive, very engaging. And this is actually where we can meet the learning and development managers, telling them about how we can be a partner in what you do, not only a training provider.
Um, and just to kind of like close out the latter part of that question is when you're meeting with those learning and development managers,
Mhm.
is if you were to put yourself in their shoes,
Yeah.
is there any advice that you would give to them to kind of help them be more aware of these courses, these skill gaps, the kind of initiatives that you are trying to kind of build, um, just to be more either aware of them, or to kind of be, um, I would say probably prepared isn't the right word, but just to like be able to facilitate the conversation more. In other words, give an example is, how often do they have those clear metrics and measures that you need to kind of measure the success of your initiatives? How well do they understand the individuals who are going on these courses and what their actual needs are? How well do they understand the business challenges that they're trying to address, by putting people onto these courses? Are you seeing that they generally come quite well equipped, or are they kind of often gaps that you have to try and fill?
There is some gaps. There is some gaps that I'm always saying to them: be more engaging with the employees, be more engaging with what they are suffering. If you are talking to the salespeople, ask them, are they achieving their sales target easily, or they need something else? Or ask them about the support they can expect from the company, or what if they have different ways of approach of presentation? How's their presentation skills? Are they suffering in closing stage, or in presentation, or approaching, or prospecting? In which sales cycle actually they are suffering? For, Sorry. So I'm giving them this example about salespeople, but again, it could be with the finance, it could be with HR, it could be with any other department inside the corporate company. But having only surveys and this assessment by email, giving them some piece of information to say if they need or they don't need, it is not enough to know actually what they need or not enough to develop the performance of your people. You need to be more engaging. You need to sit with each department from time to time. You need to know actually how's the business work overall inside the company, and what's the vision, or what's they need to achieve in each year and in each quarter. To be more involving with the managers, that will give you the edge, and bring them the most valuable courses to to give it to them as a training. Otherwise, they will not feel the value of the courses, or the value of what they need, because sometimes they say, okay, we already knowing this, we don't need it. Why are bringing us? It's another waste of time. So,
Yeah.
not to having this kind of feedbacks, you need to sit with them in the beginning, ask them, and if the learning and development manager don't do this, I have to do it by myself after taking their permission. Say, if you don't mind, I would like to sit with the people first to know before the training. Also, it's good for the instructor to understand exactly how they will customize the material, and how he will go through the training in each day. It's facilitate for both for them and for the instructor, the training delivery itself.
Perfect. I think that's great advice.
Thank you.
Final question is, we always ask our guests to share a book, podcast, or an event, or anything that's happened in their lives recently that's had a profound effect on them.
So I'm reading now. You're asking me to recommend a book.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. It came to my mind because I'm reading a book called Bad Bosses for
Okay.
for Thomas Erickson. Okay. Why I'm reading this? Because I found people coming to me complaining sometimes from the conflict in the workplace, and they don't know how to handle this type of communications, or they don't know how to handle between the clients and the management. So, because also in UAE, it's different cultures. You can find more than 150 nationalities in one place. So, how to understand, how to deal with the client and with the boss, especially if they feel this is bad boss. Actually, it's not bad boss. It's a gap of communications. So this is what I found how in the book, how to differentiate the communication styles for different kind of bosses. And actually, I'm enjoying, and also I got another book here, which is surrounded by setbacks.
Mm-hmm. You know it well. Yeah.
Yeah, for the same Thomas Erickson. So this I'm trying. It's enjoying now to read about these things, to understand more about the corporate and how they can navigate their way inside the companies and outside the companies as well.
That's great. Well, thank you, Mustafa. I think it's been a great experience getting a little bit of insight into how things work in Dubai and the UAE, seeing what you're doing, kind of helping to bridge that gap between where the university stops and businesses start, and starting to kind of, I think, lay the foundations for what is going to be a big component of the future of learning and development. So it was great to chat to you, great to get those insights. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you, Jason. It was my great pleasure, actually. Enjoyed it a lot, and I love to talk on this topic, and also sharing my experience in this kind of topics with the people like you. Actually, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much, Jason.
You're welcome. Hey, thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Impact Learning Visionaries. If you found it interesting or helpful, please subscribe by clicking on the button down below so you don't miss our next one. Also, be sure to check out our Reality Bites blog for more information on how technology is aiding in learning development. Links are all in the description below. Go check it out. Thanks a lot. Bye.